Arsenal 3, Manchester United 2 in an epic game at the Emirates. They've been the best team in the league all season, so of course, you wouldn't have never written them off at any point in that game. You can see the progression in Manchester United, not overawed for large parts of the game, but in the final 20 minutes, the might and the power of Arsenal this season was just too much for Erik ten Hag's men to handle. Eddie Nketiah with a brace, Saka with a stunner, equalize and nullify the goals. Rashford with an absolute stormer, an absolute sensational strike that will now be forgotten in history because of the result. And Lisandro Martinez coming up trumps with a header of all people from a corner. But it was an epic game of football, there's no doubt. Arsenal have answered many of their doubters again. How will they perform? The 2-point gap that City have given them, will they respond? They went a goal down. They then conceded for it to be 2-2. And the most impressive thing from Arsenal today was they kept the composure. They kept their togetherness. They didn't panic. This was an Arsenal team that were a bunch of boys, rudderless, with no leader, with owners behaving terribly only a handful of years ago, to a team that has got a backbone, a team that has got strength, a team that has got fight, and most importantly, match winners. Individuals that can take the game away from their opponents with just sheer quality. And Saka was that today. Eddie Nketiah was that today. And Eddie Nketiah deserves so much credit because a lot of people, including myself, are at the very least asked the question, could he step up into Gabriel Jesus' shoes? He's doing more than Gabriel Jesus at the moment. He's maintaining the press. He's keeping the togetherness, the energy, and everything Gabriel Jesus was doing, Eddie Nketiah is. But he's added the most important element to the game, and that's goals. Gabriel Jesus doesn't start when he returns. He has got to get Eddie Nketiah out of this team. And 2 goals against the old enemy. And I'm not talking Tottenham, I'm not really your rivals because they win nothing. I'm talking a resurgent Manchester United like this to give you a 3-point gap over Manchester City is absolutely huge. And Arsenal deserve nothing but credit. Arsenal deserve nothing but praise. And I get asked, Man United fan, why are you praising Arsenal? Well, it's my job to be objective and fair. It's not how I feel inside. Inside, I'm angry. Inside, I'm fuming. Inside, I thought we were going to hold on I hoped we could hold on for a point. But everything that I predicted happened. And I don't predict things to try and twist fate. I don't predict things because Jess wears the trousers. I don't predict things because I'm a secret Arsenal fan. I say what I think and what I feel. And this Arsenal team is special. This is the best Arsenal team, footballing-wise, I actually think I've seen in the Premier League. And the reason I say that is because of the amount of points they're producing, the match winners that are out there. They're brilliant. Listen, they're not as good, they're not as legendary as their double winners, as their invincibles, because adding trophies to this team, I'm talking the major big boys, is key. I said footballing. The way they play football, the resolute nature of this Arsenal team is absolutely something special when you consider the average age of this squad. From a Man United fan's point of view tonight, let me be honest about this. I was impressed. I was impressed for probably about 65, 70 minutes. We weren't overawed. We didn't have as many chances as Arsenal, and we weren't expected to. And we were in this game. I was very impressed with Rashford's performance. Very dangerous. Scored one of the goals of the season. To glide past Thomas Partey like that is levels. Absolute levels. I was actually impressed. We conceded 3 goals, barring AWB, who was massively culpable for the first goal. And if we could have held on to that lead longer, who knows? I was very impressed with that centre-back pairing today. But as the overall team, there's growth in this Man United team. And as disappointed as I am and as angry as I am with not picking up all 3 points, I see a future. If you fast forward 2 years, new owners and backing of our manager, McTominay's not going to be out there. Eriksen won't be out there. AWB will not be there. De Gea won't be there. Weghorst won't be there. And Anthony, if he doesn't improve his end product, he won't be there. I was actually okay with Anthony's link-up play today, personally. But this Man United team is a work in progress. We are 19 Premier League games into our rebuild. I'm angry that we've lost, and I'm disappointed that we've lost. But I don't feel as I felt worse when we dropped points to Crystal Palace. This doesn't feel like when Brighton and Brentford and City and Aston Villa smashed us this season. Doesn't feel the same to me personally. And that's credit to Erik ten Hag and what he has done and what he has built. And from a point of view of progression, you only got to take a look at Arsenal, written off a year ago, written off in the summer, written off in September, in October, written off when Jesus got injured. If City get it down to a 2-point gap, watch them crumble. They actually went 1-0 down today and got better. They actually had a day today, Arsenal, when Odegaard, in my opinion, and Martinelli, two of their 4 attackers, I thought were quite poor by their standards, and they still came through. Match winners for days, ability for days, quality for days. That cannot be denounced anymore. I'm sure TalkSport and Sky Sports and Gary Neville and rivals will still find a way of being disrespectful towards them. I just can't personally do it. I just can't. There's no reason for it. It just feels wrong to, like non-alcoholic beer. What's the point? It's just a pointless product. Like a waterproof tea bag. Who needs it? Gooners, I want to hear from you. Man United fans, I want to hear from you. But the most important thing to do first is smash the like button. Let's get this past 3,000 likes while we're live on the air. We've got a lot of super chats before I bring my panel on to speak with you today. First one here says, hard-fought win for the boys, but United will challenge for the title next season. Guaranteed. And I warned United fans that Nketiah will be the difference. That Nketiah took his chances well. He did impeccably. He's a goal poacher. He's a fantastic goal poacher, is what he is, and he presses and he works hard, and that's testament to him because there was a lot of questions about could he step up, and he's been fantastic since Jesus got injured. Eddie at the double, Starboy with a screamer. Zinchenko might still be man of the match. KDB wasn't lying when he said he's the best technician at City. Yeah, Zinchenko had a brilliant game today. And that was why I was disappointed with Anthony, because Anthony didn't run at him as hard, because he's not a great defender. He's a brilliant footballer. And I think that Anthony could have really, really pushed at him and run at him a little bit more in this game. But yeah, those players you mentioned, fantastic. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, McTominay cost us that game. I'm so pissed with both of them. I hope it's the last time those fools play for us. Bruno was poor. Listen, we were playing counter-attack football. We weren't trying to dominate the midfield because we're never going to be able to do that. On McTominay and Wan-Bissaka, this is where I say reserve your anger. They are going to play for us again because we're at the beginning of a rebuild. Yep, if we had the money that Todd Bowley and that are thrown at Chelsea, we could have bought all that squad in one summer. 2 windows. It isn't going to happen. It's going to take at least 2 more transfer windows to get this squad how Ten Hag wants it. So we are just going to have to persevere, in my opinion. 5 points clear with a game in hand over City. It's looking so good for Arsenal right there. And that game in hand, I know they've got to play City, but they play Everton as well. So look, they can stretch that to 8. If they get good results, say 4 points against City, the title's going back to Arsenal. Your defense is in trouble. Nketiah is in the room. Zinni, thanks Pep and Trossard. I didn't see much of Trossard when he came on, really. I did. Look, he looks dangerous. I did hear Brandon, who's in the room with us, talk about he's better than Mudryk, but we'll get into that later when the boys come on. Terry, you are on the couch tonight. Here we are for the struggles of the... I'm not on the couch if we lost. I would have been kicked out the bedroom if we'd have won. It doesn't work this way. Now, I actually got pushed by her practically in the face during the game when they equalized and got called a bitch. It was like, wow. Can you imagine, late gentlemen?
I apologize.
Gentlemen,
I didn't mean it.
The worst bit is, I didn't predict a win. I didn't slag Arsenal off, and I get physically assaulted and called a bitch. Can you imagine if that was the other way around? Can you imagine if that was the other way around? What would happen?
Yes.
What would say? Anthony, £100 million fidget spinner. Martinelli, better, way better. Again, I didn't think today was way better, but thank you for the super chat. Absolutely classic today. Arsenal fans should be proud with the progress your team has done in such a short time. The better team won today. Exciting times for both teams ahead. And I agree with you, George. That's personally how I view it as well, my friend. Arsenal winning the league is now a fact. The winning mentality is there. Something Liverpool lost. You've got to respect it when you see it. Fair play. I think this was Arsenal's best game of the season. I will say it was an amazing game as a whole. Both teams made a very, very minimal mistakes. It was a moment of brilliance for both teams. You are right. Like AWB made mistakes in the build-up to their first goal. You could argue, could we have got closer to Saka with his shot? You could say, yeah. I mean, you could do that with Rashford's goal. If Partey anticipates the flick from Rashford, he doesn't get past him. You can always look for mistakes. But there was a mistake from Ramsdale as well, as an example. But there was brilliance from both teams today. And look, if it had ended 2-2, Arsenal fans would have felt disappointed. United fans would have been happy. But I wouldn't have said, oh my God, it's the most outrageous result in the history of football. 1 foot Tony trying a Saka. Saka is better than Anthony. Saka is better than Anthony right now, no doubt. Impressed by United, but this is Arsenal's year, is what David says. Eric Ten Hag is stupid. Literally went there and that he could win, and said that I think he could win. Only way to stop Arsenal is to play like Newcastle and not play like a team did against Leicester. So I wouldn't blame Ten Hag for it. The players sat deeper. If you actually watch the footage and watch the manager on the sideline, the amount of times he's moving his arm and screaming, get up the pitch, move up. But that's what happens when you have a number of substandard players on the football pitch who won't be at the club in a couple of years' time. But what I will say is this. Certain other clubs, 6 months into their rebuild, weren't going toe-to-toe like this with the best team in the league. Teams at the beginning of rebuilds get pammed. We weren't. Fair play. That was a fantastic game of football. Really did give me Wenger, Fergie vibes. Yeah, I personally agree with you there. I think it does. Kudos to Arsenal. Gutted, but no shame for United. Couldn't agree more. Awesome game, but Ten Hag needs backing second half. United just died without backing this transfer window. Season looks long for United. I mean, we're not going to play against teams as good as Arsenal every week, so I wouldn't necessarily say it's long for us. It's encouraging, personally. But yeah, the manager needs backing. New owners coming in, that will happen. Martinez got his first goal. That's a positive, but I laugh when Rashford had Partey on his backside. Legend, I see more positives for this team. I am gutted that Rashford's goal won't be remembered. It's one of the best I've seen away at Arsenal in a long time. It was an absolute stunner. It really was. Did you see the gaps in mid?